Welcome back to the Froyo Corsia rematch on RGL 6's Season 4, Week 6B. I'm here with Dolphin and Jarrett. Jarrett, how you doing?
Doing pretty good and ready to watch some Metalworks. This is a pretty exciting game that's going to be coming up, especially because of what we saw last week, which I don't think people really expected a doubleheader to be so exciting. 5-4 going one way of Froyotech and one way of Corsia, and now we have the third match coming up to decide who's going to take the head-to-head at the end of the day.
Yeah, just to take into account anybody that wants to guess what the score is, this map was picked by Froyo. Villa was picked by Corsia last week, and then Snake was picked by Froyo. And yeah, it's surprising to see. Usually when there's a doubleheader, team to win the first one usually wins the second one, but actually the other way around, Corsia wins the second game, and I think that's a really big opener. It definitely puts a lot of hype into the upcoming playoffs that is starting right after the season, this week, if I'm not wrong.
Again, sneak peek after sneak peek of what could be somewhere in the upper bracket, potentially, as long as these both teams continue to show the grand showing they have. As their seeds are pretty much solidified at least one or two. The question is in the upcoming weeks, or the rest of the rounds, they're going to be gather enough to have Froyotech reign at the very top, or will Corsia overtake at number one seed? And both these teams, with them having this match against each other tonight, it's definitely going to be in their own hands in terms of denying the other team as many rounds as possible, and like I said before, securing the head-to-head. For those of you who are a little bit late into the season or unsure of the rosters, we have them on the screen now. I'll go over the Froyotech roster, which is Eric and Baney on Scout, Blaze and Jay on Soldier, Habib on Demo, and Skis on Medic.
Yeah, and Corsia, a new-ish team. They kind of reformed from last season, but they have Yite and Brandslam on Scout, Trip on Roamer, Ash on Pocket, Alex.exe on Demo, and Zilly on Med. And last week, I think you could definitely agree that the two guys that looked really good and had big plays throughout the two games, I think would be the flank of Corsia. Yite and Trip having a great game, and Blaze and Eric having a rough one, at least on Villa. They had a decent game on Snake, but Villa, just not a great time. But this is a pretty well-known map, and do you think the flank of Corsia can repeat after Villa?
I think it's possible. One thing you have to keep in mind is both these teams are very good at adapting. And, after a loss from Froyotech, it doesn't happen too often. I'm sure they've sat down and talked about the things they need to adjust, especially for this team in particular, because, at a certain point, you can kind of figure out how a team's playing and the small adjustments you need to make to start winning again. So it's going to be on them to apply whatever they need to do to make sure they get their flank back in shape, and Corsia on the same page to make sure they got still some plays in their playbook to reapply in case things start to go rocky in the middle of the match. But I definitely agree this is going to be a bit of a flank show, at least in the very beginning when it comes to what we're keeping our eyes on. I definitely want to see if it's going to be a repeat in terms of last week where the Corsia flank is a little bit dominant, or Froyotech's flank is going to come back in better than ever and try to show them why they are the number one seed currently.
Yeah, and from the most recent time I remember Corsia playing, their mids did not look great. And Metalworks is a map where mids are pretty important. Sometimes you just have to leave if your mid starts off really poorly. And from what I remember, Corsia was up 4-1, 4-2 against Morning Light, and they just couldn't buy a mid, and they lost everything. And if I'm Corsia, you need to win these mids. And with me saying that, I think the main guy that's going to be the most important for Corsia is going to be Trip, followed by Alex.
I would definitely agree. You definitely want to apply very early pressure on in the mid. The early demo man spam and the rate at which your soldier plays going into the mid brings a huge presence and can decide a mid really early on, especially on Metalworks. So I think that's going to be somewhat of the same story in terms of what we're looking at. The question is, will the rest of the story be the same? Will Corsia, despite not being the best team at mids versus Froyotech, as last week showed, it could still take some rounds and maybe even win a match despite all of that. So I'm sure they know where their weakness is, but they have a strength going for them that Froyotech needs to make sure that they're well prepared for, especially when it comes to a map like Metalworks, where your flank is really enabled. Skybox is huge. There's a lot of pathways if you decide to go indoors where you can try to do some sort of flanking player backup. So it kind of goes back to making sure we're keeping an eye on the flank, because even if Corsia, doesn't have too strong of a mids like the previous matches have shown, they can still try to find a way to get their heads back in the game and start converting some rounds against Froyo.
Yeah, and if let's go into it. So, do you agree with me that for Corsia to win, do you think the main players that are gonna have to play well are gonna be? And then we'll move into Froyo after.
I think my eyes are going to be on Trip. I don't think Trip has a very large history of having a grandeur Metalworks performance. There's been moments in the past where he's been a little bit shaky on it, yet it's such an important uh, thing to need to have happen on Metalworks to have your soldiers play well, especially your roamer, because it can be very flank heavy and it can be very soldier heavy. So if you're having one of those very key players not playing their best, it's not going to be very fortunate for your team. So got to make sure the Trip is playing well, and if he's not, the team has to do the best they can to make sure he's enabled in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Trip and Alex probably the key pieces. And for Froyo, who do you think? I think they are definitely still the favorite in this matchup, but still, who do you think needs to play well for them to win this game here?
For Freyo, I'm personally still on the roamer train. I think that Froyotech's flank didn't necessarily show up to the best of their ability in the previous matches, and Blaze in particular. You can do fine, but you definitely want to, if you can, on Metalworks, have a very, very good performance when you're playing Soldier, especially roamer. So it's going to be, my eyes at least are going to be on him to make sure that he can do what he needs to do to launch Froyotech into victory and to take the head-to-head.
I do agree. And like, if anything, if I'm Blaze, this map is pretty much, I think you could say, a very, very different than how the flanks of Villa work. It's Villa, there's a lot of boxy rooms. In this map, there are skyboxes on skyboxes. You're not trapped in a little area fighting a 1v1. You can just keep flying around. And honestly, I do agree with you about Blaze, but I'm going to say I think Jay's going to be really important on this map. Like we said, skybox, and when Blaze bombs, most of the time you're going to see Jay following after, or vice versa, and he's going to be going around. And Zilly's got to watch himself, because on this map it's pretty easy to get in on the med. It's just you got to hit your few shots that you get before you get blown up by the scouts.
Especially with Jay's Market Gardener, that's always going to be a threat. And with the skyboxes here, it's definitely going to enable him a little bit to make sure that he can put himself as high as he needs to be to try to get some of those off. Current surf and melee, so it's going to be a little bit rough for them if he's allowed to spoon some people.
Yeah, just excited to see this game. We're still waiting on someone. Yite. We're waiting on Yite to join the server, but we got 11 in right now, and I don't know. Let's I'll say it. Let's move on to predictions. Who do you think is gonna win this? You don't have to be super certain, but give me a brief idea here.
I think that Corsia's showing will still be pretty good, but I think that Froy's ability to adapt is going to be pretty good for them, especially because I think part of the reason why they've had a weaker showing in the past week or so is because of a break they've taken, and I think now they've had some time to really get back into scrims. I kind of feel like this will be a little bit more of a Froyo show, just not quite as dominant as their just more dominant in their Snakewater performance probably. So maybe something like a 5-2-ish for Froyo, I think.
I want to believe. I usually don't. Well, I usually do, but this time I'm gonna believe. I think this match will probably you'll see who's gonna be the winner within the first few minutes. Because if one team just gets steamrolled on mills, and if mids and Corsia really can't, they just show they haven't improved on metal mids. I don't think they really have a shot in this game. I think Villa maybe was an outlier where a lot of times they traded mid for the other team's medic and then just refought with Uberad. And it's a bit harder to do that on this map just because it's so big and they're so far away. But you know what? I'm going to say just now, I'm going to say 5 for Corsia. And I may jump off the train after the first mid.
Another 5-4, huh?
That's what you love to see it. It's always good to see a 5-4.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you did say that I think is a good point is, these are different maps at the end of the day, despite the mid being somewhat similar, at least when it comes to Villa. Part of the reason why you can play a mid fight and lose it and still bring up so many rounds is because you're so good at holding the next couple of points. But with the structure of the way that second is and last is, maybe Corsia's defense or Froyo's offense is going to be slightly different when it comes to Metalworks in terms of Villa. Even if Froyo wins a mid, like Villa, it might be a different story when it comes to the defense coming out of Corsia. So it's going to be something that kind of comes into play even if the mid fights go the same way as the previous time. But only time will tell. Who knows? It could end up being the same story despite the layout being slightly differently. But I agree with the sentiment that we will know within the first little bit of the match. But speaking of the match, it appears we are going live with this this last Froyotech versus Corsia match. Is the third match they're playing on Metalworks. Winner of this takes head-to-head, and as many rounds as you can get can launch you straight into the lead for the seedings of playoffs. Go ahead and take it away, Marbaloo.
Yeah, first mid, Demo's actually going different ways. Habib going top, Trip in the top door. No one opting for a fast roll. Habib taking a lot of early damage. Him and Blaze in the top right phone, and Trip is early bombing in on top of the lower door, trying to pre-fire Habib. Gets killed on the door along with Ash. And the spin's not looking great. Everyone on Froyo getting healed up. Brain Slam running in with Yite, both getting picked. And the mid was just so uncoordinated. It was Trip pre-fire bombing, trying to get Habib. Didn't work, and then both scouts held W after that. And they just lost the mid. You gotta hope that Brazilian gets out, and he doesn't.
The J-Spoon!
He just gets one shot just trying to leave, and that is a statement mid.
Yep. A little bit of a baity mid, but in a good way. They definitely got the kills they needed. But speaking of the kills they needed, Ash gets the kills he needed and kills Siege, which is the Uber's going to be equalized. Continually scrapping fighting happening underneath the bridge, but it appears that this push, at least for now, is a little bit too greedy and going to stop, as Froyotech has to make sure they escape with their lives and get the heals they need eventually. So, Corsia in a pretty good position here. They have their heals up a little bit earlier, so Ski's not quite there. Moving forward with their sniper and Ash a little bit, trying to get some early angles and early spam on the point. Maybe they can break out, but Habib's here, ready to lock it down. And Trip over on the other side. Habib dying, though, not going to be able to lock it down very much anymore, as they're continuing to try to pressure a little bit across the point and try to get some good stamina to find an opening, but not really a whole lot they can necessarily work off of per se. They're trying to work over the flank, Yike trying to take a 1v1, trying to bait a soldier into coming in so Trip can help clean up, but even off the demo pick, it seems like the fact they have a sniper is not going to make them want to necessarily break out so hard. So with Ash not being able to get a pick after the Habib kill, it seems like they're going to just go ahead and back their way up to last.
Yeah, this is a blast from the past. I don't think I've seen Ash play sniper once this entire past 2 seasons, and you know, he did when he played Roamer back in those 20B days, but he definitely just comes up, drops the med, headshots a soldier, gets a demo pick, and it still isn't enough to get out. I know Blaze did a great job denying the scout from getting in, and now you're kind of in the stranglehold of being on your own last. It's not as bad as others, Metalworks at least, but it's still pretty rough to get out, even if you get the opportunity.
Yeah, pretty normal scenario here, because even on small ads, it's really rough to take, so it makes sense for them to back up a little bit, especially because you're early on. You don't need to take too many risks and go down around really early. So Froyotech trying to spot and try to figure out where things are, figure out the best method for them to go and sack, and they learned the gun's position. Hasn't moved quite yet, just trying to spam a little bit the best they can, maybe get someone off the blue crate. Their eyes are on Trip right now, it appears at the very least, but he's going to go ahead and move away and make sure he's not going to get jumped or anything like that. But for now, I think they've realized that the gun is probably the top priority if they're not able to go and get a kill on the flank really easily. Trip getting a little bit weak once again, trying to either get him or the gun, but so far not a whole lot of success. They have a lot of time to work with though. They can take this as slow as they want, really. It's not really a whole lot of pressure to play it at extremely fast pace when the game just starts and it's 0-0, but it seems like they're talking it up and get ready for some sort of play over here in right lobby, maybe.
Yeah, usually how this works on most lasts is you got to get the gun down, then you can send like a 2-man, and there's just not getting a great opportunity. The gun's in a really awkward place to shoot. The only real place you can shoot it from is that left side from the defender's perspective, which Trip is on. And Habib trying to lob pipes over, but he can't see over that wall very well, and they're not going anywhere near the gun.
Yep, a lot of heavy spam coming onto Froyo too, so their attempts at trying to peek is not going to be too successful. I'm wondering how long it's going to take for Froyo to just go ahead and run the 2-man anyway, just to see if they can get anything at all rather than just peeking around. Habib's getting very weak himself. It does not seem like they're winning the spam war very much when it comes to trying to buy space and information gathering. Of course, he's doing a very good job of making sure that their hold is pretty well down, and so far there's not really been a whole lot of falter happening when it comes to not being able to hold a door. Seems like a sack's going to be maybe going in from Banny, at least trying to make a little bit of space, maybe make space for a soldier, Jay on the other side in main, but once again, not really committing. Doesn't seem like they really want to go for anything unless they're very, very sure that it's going to lead to something great for them. A lot of damage coming into Corsia. Got to heal up a little bit, the same on the side of Jay, so just damage trade back and forth, but not really resulting in any kills. Very, very slow pace, but kind of makes sense, because definitely want to win this match if you're either team.
And here we go, the soldiers coming through that left door. They're trying to get Trip off of the wall so they can start spamming this gun down. They're getting the double spam, and they do end up getting the gun down and not having anyone die. And they get the second gun down, so now they definitely have an opportunity to sack. Eric running through the left with Blaze. Blaze getting pretty weak, trying to get in, gets a kill onto Alex, and the entire Froyo team is now bursting through the bridge door. Jake gets traded out 2 soldiers down, but Vanny gets so much cap time they get a trade on the Brand Slam. But now it is a 3v3 even Ubers, but the cap time is in favor. There's a lot of cap time for Froyo. Ash getting the force. Eric still trying to get some pressure out, and it's 2 soldiers from Corsia with a spawner up. And Froyo kind of has to take the L on this point and refight it at a later time.
Yep, reinforcements coming from Corsia in terms of spawn means you have to probably back up into lobby, maybe even further back. But you know, they have a late Yite kill. They also know that there's no gun and no Uber in place. So they could go for some sort of dry play once again. Blaze trying to peek a door a little bit. And the same thing with the Shadow Door coming from Habib. But it seems like, of course, he's doing a pretty good job despite not having a gun and making sure they're able to stop this kill push from happening. Able to immediately get 2 kills coming in from Froyotech. So with those very, very quick kills happening, it seems like their push is going to be thwarted and they're going to have to take a different approach rather than just trying to dry straight through.
Yeah, Ash and Yite had a really good coordinated bomb on a Blaze to get a pick, and they also got the other player down. But now they're still trying to push this main door, but the problem is they took a little bit too long, so the spawners from Froyo are already coming in, and they're going to have to go back to that last end. I didn't even realize, but it's been 5 minutes on this last point, which it's been an eternity, especially if you're holding last 5 minutes, and you know there's 5 more is just, it's a hard pill to swallow. And now the Froyo team's trying to get to the right side with the Mark Gardner, gets air piped, Eric in, gets picked off by the Yite sniper, and yeah, it looks like he's going to stay on it and try and peek forward and get a pick here.
Actually, it seems like at the last second he's decided to double back and go ahead and go back in case his team wants to exchange. We have Brand Slam and Zilly working their way into lobby with the rest of their team, maybe trying to get up a force of some nature. A lot of spam coming onto Trip though, so he's not going to be able to help on the flank, and a huge rocket and pipe combination on Ash is going to make him really weak. He's actually going to get cleaned up, not able to successfully get out of his life. Speaking of getting out with his life, Brand Slam is also going to die, followed by maybe Alex.AC. No, gets a very clutch arrow and an Uber save, but that is going to be a successful Uber force technically. Only going to lose Habib, at least for now, but Blaze over on the side, and not going to get caught out. Counter Uber coming in from Froyo, trying to chase down the players they can, able to find Trip. Working the way into last, not really any control on the doors because they're all in spawn. Early cap time, going to bring people to the point. Ash getting very, very low, 20 HP. It's going to get dropped down, and only 3 people left on Corsia is going to be very tough for them to block this point, and the cap will go to Froyo.
Yeah, the start of that fight on second was so unfortunate. I think Ash tried to jump through the door and ate 2 projectiles, got thrown against the wall and instantly picked. And now Froyo starting with that lead. And now if you're Corsia, you got to try something new because that last mid was an absolute disaster. I think they went 6 up, 6 down at the start. And now...
very much so. But it appears like it's going to be at least somewhat of a similar mid. Actually, early pressure coming on Habib. Habib and Blaze in the same place, going to take a little bit of the same damage, but we have our early bomb coming in from Trip. Not going to commit, though. Got to make sure he's able to land safely and apply pressure, but some trades already happening on the other side of the map. A lot of pressure coming on the left. 2 soldiers down on the side of Corsia, but a lot of point guns coming in from Froyo. They're trying to make their presence known on this mid and put a lot of damage onto Brand Slam, who is going to die to Rocket Smash at the very end of the day. So with 1 player disadvantage, it appears that Corsia wants to get the hell out of Dodge and the best they can. Yite coming in at the very last second and buying space to let Alex get the kills he needs. Skis trying to desperately find a way to get any sort of kill to make his death worth it, but it's not going to be successful. And it seems like Froyo's victory, they chased a little bit too eagerly, and it's gonna bite them at the end of the day, and they're gonna lose this mid.
Alex hits the hero pipe. They looked like they had no room in there. Alex was jumping away, turns around, hits a pipe, kills the scout, and craters Habib. And Yite just walks forward, follows up on the soldier, and now they turn that into a full Uber ad situation. And this is one of the things you gotta win. This is the best shot you're gonna have in a round most of the time. And if Corsia want to show that they definitely they did their homework on this map, this is their chance.
Yep, seems like Froyotech has a pyro over on the right side of the map, but so far Zilly is not even over near that side. It's not going to really come into play too much in terms of stuffing players if they decide to commit to the door they're currently on. Trying to walk through, going to eat a pipe, but it doesn't matter because the Uber's going out. Trying to get early spam on this gun. The Pyro's doing the best they can in terms of air blasting away, but not really going to be able to find a whole lot of success here. Habib juggled a little bit forward and a little bit of damage. Going to be cleaned up at the end of the day by the soldiers, but they've extended so many resources. They got to make sure they get on the point very, very quickly here to make sure the Froyotech players do not come in time, but it appears that the early death on their medic and Zilly is not going to be too successful for them. A 1 player left life, he is going to fall, and overall, kind of scrappy. It was kind of okay, but at the end there, it really was just the Froyotech train at the end of the day.
Zilly tried to bait some cap time, and he kind of insta-gibbed, and after that, you really can't leave, and they all end, and now the situation has been flipped on its head. Full Uber ad for Froyo, given they're not on their own last this time, or getting pushed onto their last, but now they're going to start moving through house with Uber ad, getting in pretty clean. Now it's just which door do they want to go, and they end up bombing Habib through the lower door. Almost everybody from Corsia just getting out, just barely from the Habib bomb.
Yep, not really finding a whole lot of success in terms of kills. Corsia could actually poke around and try to do early spam onto the point if they so desire, and it feels like they're working their way outside to make sure that they can at least get some sort of presence. Early soldier bomb coming in to try to create space for the team, but it's going to end up in his death. With one player going down, they have to make sure they get this Uber in time to save themselves. But the Market Gardener is going to come in from Jay, and that Uber ad is going to be immediately null. Only 15% left to go, and it's not going to work out in their favor. So what could have been a nice situation for them ends up not working out, and it's going to be a full wipe out of Corsia. And Froyotech in a pretty nice position. They're already working their way towards last to secure this round, Marmaloo.
Yeah, and it's not looking great. These soldiers have to die for this point. And there's still 4 people up, actually, so this is super holdable. Now they're going to get Habib down. They trade Blade, or trip for Habib. Eric trying to get in to get the trade frag, and he doesn't. The scout in on the side, getting onto Eric, getting onto Blaze, and just slips out. They have a 2-player ad, and one of those being the demo is massive, but it looks like they're opting not to push against that Uber ad of Froyo. But yeah, that fight on mid, it started with the flank of Froyo just absolutely getting 3 picks. Market Garter comes out and just seals the deal. But now Froyo, 50% ad. All their players up. It's going to be a straight-on 6v6 Uber ad push from Froyo here.
Yep. Trying to build a gun up at the very least, and they're going to get to level 2, which is, you know, nothing to shake your finger at. But Uber coming in from Banny, trying to lead his way onto the gun. Habib trying to clean it up, and Ash desperately trying to make sure he can try to stay alive. Very, very low 17 HP, and the collapse from Froyotech is very, very strong. Going into the enemy spawn and collecting multitudes of kills so far. Zilly very, very weak, but able to get his Uber at the very last second, trying to chase down the scouts with the rest of his team into their spawn. One's going to fall. It's just Eric left alive in the spawn area, but it's going to leave enough of a distraction for the rest of Froyotech to come down the bridge. No one was able to lock down the combo that was remaining alive, so with that distraction play, it's going to be another successful conversion of rounds for Froyotech.
Yeah, just taking too long on that second scout. Just as soon as that Uber fades, the doors are completely free, like you said, and they just got steamrolled over. But, you know, it's not over. They've come back from a deficit before, but they're down 2-0. Last mid wasn't looking great at the start, but a huge salvage play from Alex. But now he's getting absolutely locked out this mid, and it's not a very good start. They're starting to walk through the valley door, trying to get some presence on mid. Trip getting locked out. Jay taking a lot of damage, but they're just so far out of the mid right now. But Eric getting focus fired down by both scouts. Yite getting traded off, and still Corsia kind of stuck in this valley door. Both soldiers in the house for Corsia, and it just looks dominant from Froyo right now.
Yeah, they're trying to take the high ground the best they can to get a lot of point presence, but it's not leading them to the victory they so desire. A lot of damage taken, and actually another kill. No scouts on the field at mid, one rolling out, one dead from Froyotech as they desperately try to bring their soldiers forward to try to salvage, but Jay is going to fall. Gonna be able to take Trip down with him, or at least Blaze is gonna take out Ash rather, so not the best scenario coming out of Froyotech. Trip trying to go in and try to get a very late force, not able to get his last rocket off as he's going to be very low HP, but still has Uber retained as Froyotech have their scouts now trying to work their way back in. Able to successfully get this force. Brandslam trying to run his way forward, and the counter Uber is going to come out of skis. Over on the side, Yite going to get a little bit weak, going to get taken down by Habib Sticky, and with that late death, that's going to be the end of Corsia's fight at mid, and they're going to go ahead and cut their losses and back up to 2.
Yeah, that was a weird fight. It started off slow. They traded picks after picks, but now Froyo in the good position. Blaze already in Valley, maybe looking to try and sack off the distraction in house from the combo of Froyo. Blaze is in high, doesn't quite find anything super good, but actually focuses down Alex, and Zilly's caught out by Jay. So much damage, he gets cratered, but it's 2 on Corsia versus the rest of the team. Eric not full buff, but if these 2 scouts just have to fight against this beam here.
Yep, gotta do the best they can. At a certain point, you also have to decide if it's even worth it if they're just gonna hold S and farm you. So I think they've kind of decided that it's not really worth it to run in, and they're just gonna preserve their lives. So overall, pretty successful push from Froyotech. They're able to maintain their advantage, and that under push worked out very well for them, despite only having a scout to work off of. But now they have much more to work off of than just a scout. Just gotta heal up their team as the rest of them come from the previous fight, and it looks like they're working their way towards Alley to maybe use this Uber ad.
Yeah, Ash back on that sniper, trying to get a rerun, but Froyo already getting in too quick. He has to leave, cut his losses, and this is just another situation. Repeat Uberat and Ash staying A little bit too long, gets sticky, gets rocketed, and now Habib jumping through that main door. Trip kind of caught up, but again, Habib gets piped instantly by Alex, and I don't know if that's enough. Heavy out, getting out of the side, and now there's no cap time yet. Heavy getting Blaze down, getting Eric down. Jay on the side, getting Jay down, and just a great hold from Corsia there.
It's a good play by Alex and a little bit of a sloppy execution by Habib. You got no demo. That Heavy's not going to die, and definitely showed how important they needed to kill him because he did a lot at the very end there. So, Corsia have a decent Uber ad to work with. Have some flank picks they're trying to deny, but not going to be so successful. Have one respawner to work off of themselves, and they're probably getting ready to go ahead and start moving underpass, trying to work their way. Mounted all the traps, though. They're being a little bit paranoid. I think they realize that Habib is close enough. They're working their way through, and it's going to buy a little bit of time for Froyotech, but they still have a giant ad to work with. It's okay, because, you know, Yite have to wait for him rolling it anyway. Blaze going behind, though, trying to go for a play, but it seems like they are ready for it, at least in terms of Yite being there. But the Force is going to come out successfully from Jay. Although it's not the best scenario, as long as his gun is not going to be anything, which it does die very quickly. You don't necessarily want to lose 2 people for an Uber charge, although Brain Slam biting off a little bit more than you chew, goes into lobby a little bit alone and going to get cleaned up by Eric. So that's not too great in terms of Corsia being able to lock down this mid. Froyotech lingering around in lobby. They know they only have a little bit left until they're Uber of their own, and with a scout dead on the side of Corsia, this is going to be pretty good for them to roll back into mid as soon as they get.
Yeah, and they're going to drop through this lower door with Brand Slam dying. It won't really affect this, but Corsia playing all on the high ground, trying to get some spam on the door. A lot of damage onto Jay on the side, and Ski's taking his time, not taking any damage. Both the scouts getting ground. Benny kind of isolated, but he does pressure the soldier out. Alex with another pipe onto Jay. Ash caught out. Alex gets 2 picks. Both soldiers trip pretty far forward and is going to end up getting out. And Corsia is about to have their Uber. They're going to have that player ad to work with, and they may have mid still. And if they can stop this mid cap, it will be really, really good for them. They're going to end up popping in so many pipes from Alex onto everybody, and they get 2 players down, and Skis just drops everyone in an instant. And now it's just Banny and Skis trying to bully this little roamer on the side, and Skis gets picked off. It is just Banny on mid.
Of course, you're bringing 3 or 4 people into the Uber isn't something you necessarily expect, but when it comes out, it's a lot of firepower all at once, so it makes sense for all those Froyotech players to just immediately melt on the mid. So, of course, in a pretty good position. Skis only just spawned, so Zilly's sitting in a nice comfy 50% ad. They don't need to rush this too much. The respawners on Froyo will be up pretty soon, so they'll probably allow Froyotech to get up a little bit of a defense. But, you know, 50 ads, pretty decent to work with. They got a lot of time to try to spot the best they can and try to make the most of this. Froyotech going ahead and going for the pyro gun route once again, except the gun's going to be in a little bit of a different location underneath the bridge rather than right next to the pyro, so we'll have to see if they choose the door where the pyro's at this time.
Yeah, now they went straight to the door, both scouts dealing with him, but Ransom actually getting piped down in the middle of his non-flashed area, and Habib hits a pipe on the end of the Uber, which is probably going to cancel the rest of this. Trip also eating damage. So yeah, this push is going to stop, and now Froyo get an opportunity to push out of last, but actually an off Uber push. Corsia trying to get through that left side. Ash is in. On the Skis, misses the air shot and just doesn't get the pick. Zilly still on this left side, trying to get some pressure out. Ski's very, very close. Alex with another pick. So much damage on the Blaze, but 95. And I think Zilly should be able to see this Uber percentage and know this is not a good fight for him to stay in. And Froyo ends up popping in, which may end up being bad if Alex can try and slip out and he hides in the corner instead of jumping out, and Banny will not let that slide. And the rest of Corsia, nope. Yite getting picked off, but the rest of Corsia is now out of the fight with Uber out.
Yeah, beginning play at the very start was very, very nice coming into Corsia, but near the end it wasn't so great. We'll have to see if this Uber's going to change anything. Try to jump forward, able to clean up a beam, 1 scout lingering behind, but Banny is going to get shot in lower. Not enough to kill him, not quite yet. You know, Jay's a little bit underneath trying to support, and if distraction is enough for Froyotech to actually collapse back into 2, just a little bit through the doorway, able to clean up Zilly and try to collect the rest of the players that are lingering around the bridge and the lobby side. Only Alex.exe, the last one left alive. He is the respawner from much earlier, so kind of makes sense why there's not a whole lot of doors locked down. So overall, you know, decent attempt coming out of Corsia to try to block that, but Froyotech just showing they definitely want to use the advantages they have, and that demo pick, a very, very big one.
Yeah, and they try to re-push, but demo dead, scout dead. It's just a little bit hard to focus fire all those picks, especially when they just all disappear the instant they see those blue shiny men flying at them. But this time Yite is on the sniper across the underpass. I'm not sure if Froyo do know, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna pop through this house door, getting onto Ash. They should get that pick and maybe even Trip as well, but Trip actually just slips out with the pogo. Yite's still trying to get a pick, same place Ash was, but leaves a lot of damage from Jay, and the Uber is about 10 seconds away for Corsia.
Yep, I'm going to be in a bit of a leapfrog position here. You know, Froyotech got to make sure that they're able to defend this if they want to stay on the opposing team's side of the map. As Corsia begin to work their way over towards the shutter. Looks like they want to bust through immediately with a demo bomb, and Alex goes flying to the air trying to put down Sticky's on anyone he can. He's actually going to separate himself in lobby, going to cop him to the air, and that's going to actually probably save him. It's not a very easy kill to get a Doman flying through the air. It probably screwed him over at the end of the day, and that's going to ultimately be a successful Uber from them, collecting 2 kills and continuing to work their way onto the mid. We have the Corsia flank going in a little bit early, buying some space for their team to be able to fly their way through and make sure that everyone in Froyotech is corralled and accounted for, except Eric, who slipped behind. Seems like he was a little bit too slippery, but not going to be too much at the end of the day because there's not very many Froyotech players left alive to take this Uber, and because of that, they're going to lose one and not really find much. Eric behind, able to clean up Ash, but it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things because they, of course, you still have this player ad to work with. Veep trying to trap up the side to make sure his team is able to get away, so they're able to successfully exist and actually even get a pick. Did not expect to see that happen, but it is what it is, and now Froyotech back in the driver's seat. You know, they have to be careful about this disad that's going to come into play in a little bit, but they do have some players alive who try to pressure, and Alex.exe is going to die to crater damage, not able to successfully escape Trip, getting a nice rocket on a Blaze, and it seems like this Uber's going to finally come out from Corsia, able to kill B, but is that going to be it? Jay is behind in-house, going to show himself to the Uber at the very end of the day, and it's going to be a nice distraction for Froyotech to run back in for this post-Uber. There's not really a whole lot of presence from Corsia coming in. Yite's going to fall immediately, going to get onto Ski's Ashes underneath the point, and it's going to be a nice distraction play, but not enough damage at the end of the day, and it seems like the confusion of everything was not enough for Corsia to get anything other than never mind. Caster's Curse, Brand Slam going off, collecting 2 kills, going to safely back up to his teammates, going to find the last kill, or at least get him out of this mid, which they want to keep so desperately. So very nice play from Brand Slam, taking the making the best out of a very, very messy situation.
God, where's that Brand Slam fan in chat? I remember that guy, but oh my god, just a great salvage. Finds the med who was very weak from the Ash Bomb, cleans it up, and now he gives his team a little bit of Uber ad to work with, and they're going to start using it. They don't have it quite yet, but they're going to start drying through the valley door. Soldier bombing in, trying to put some pressure, but Ash doing a lot of damage and forcing Habib off the high ground. But Blaze is looking for a little bit of info in the sky.
They've still got a decent presence over in Valley, a lot of weak Froyotech players, and they know they have this small disad, and it's making them kind of uncomfortable. 4 red health players and Ash going and see if he can collect any, but I think they've kind of just realized that they can just play off this ad, play this slow, try to create space, and it seems like this Uber is going to come out for them. Able to collect 1 probably off of Blaze. Actually, never mind, juggled in. It's going to be a little bit late, but I think Blaze is kind of accepting his death. So they are going to collect 1. Banny trying to pressure forward to see if he can try to turn the tables, but not able to find anything as Brand Slam is able to slip away. So overall, you know, not too bad coming out of Corsia. Froyotech still have this Uber, though. They're down Blaze, so their flank's a little bit weak, but they do have all their combo up to try to burst through one of these doors.
Yeah, and they know that, so they're gonna rotate Habib to one side and then have the rest of the combo on the right. Habib locks down the main door, so the flank's not a huge problem, but Banny launched in the sky from a rocket from Trip on the floor, completely alone. Jay trying to get into help, gets killed by Stickies. Yite just not getting the kill on Banny, but this Uber from Froyo just didn't really do much. They were kind of just standing around, and now getting players healthy on Corsia. They have 80% walking through the valley, Blaze on the high ground, and now everyone knows that's where they're coming. Ash getting in very deep, and it looks like the flank of Froyo is pushing through house, and they have got behind. Banny trying to get a pick onto Ash, getting fought by the scout, but 2 players behind. The back cap is coming in, and Corsia can't get any cap time really, and the players that went back to fight mid, both soldiers dying, and it's just completely Scrappy. Zilly alone, popping the Uber with Brand Slam, who is on skis, trying to hit the pistols, and hits just enough of them, but Banny in return, absolutely hitting. He one-clips the medic after killing the scout, and that is insane. And in that chaotic fight, Froyo won almost every one of their fights there.
Yeah, backed cap successful as well, so this is going to be a pretty good scenario. We were just done watching, or at least I was, over on the Froyotech second, and now we're all the way over on the Corsia second, with Froyotech having not too big of an, actually it's the ad doesn't really exist, to be honest, but it's still second to second, very, very large jump in terms of gameplay. So we're back to where we were in the beginning of the game, probably, where it's going to stalemate out a little bit, and we'll have to see both these teams build up their Uber and just, you know, try to figure out how they want to break into last. Although Corsia doesn't seem like they really want to go for anything too crazy in terms of all classes. They have a sniper up over on the shutter, trying to peek through, maybe eventually when he suspects Froyotech might be working through. Gonna be able to get a shot onto Eric, so his presence is known, but not a kill. Eric's gonna get healed up and be A-okay, so they know the sniper's on the field at the very least, but Yite might actually switch off right now and go for something different, and it appears he is gonna go cookie cutter, so no engineer, no sniper, nothing like that. Gonna be straight up cookie cutter classes for this upcoming stalemate.
Yeah, and Corsia has held for this long before, but I have a feeling the intensity is going to be turned up a little bit more here.
Yep, Froyotech applying a lot of spam, but not without taking their own, of course. We saw this previously, and the Corsia and Froyotech are doing a very good job at poking and prodding at the other team, but not a whole lot of success in terms of, finding kills very, very quickly. The gun is finally coming up because I think they've realized the stalemate situation they're in, and it helped them a whole lot. Jay trying to peek forward on Trip, and Trip's not going to be able to get away in time. Blaze trying to bomb in and create space to try to get the gun, and he is going to be successful and not without dying, but taking out Ash as well is going to be pretty strong for Froyotech. RGLgg going to fall as well, not able to be saved by the Uber, and this late Uber is not going to bode too well for Corsia. They dropped so many players. A lot of presence on Froyotech, but speaking of drop players, Eric's going to get shot out of the sky, and not going to be very good for them, but there is too much cap time and too many players on Froyotech. They're still in the last, and that is going to be the half.
Yeah, but you can't count them out entirely. It's not looking good. I'm not gonna say it is looking good, but in that Snakewater game, they did come back, and that was almost entirely based off of their mids, like we've been talking about. But I love saying fun little facts about this last. The hitbox for the cap is the floor. So if you're above that cap, you are not contesting. So just every time I see that situation, it always reminds me of that. But yeah, just a very, very good half from Froyo. Very scrappy, but very good. They end up winning the fights that really end up mattering. When they lose a fight, it's kind of scrappy, they trade meds, they trade a bunch of players or something like that. But so far, they've been looking pretty dominant.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are definitely showing clutch plays occasionally, but I think the big difference is when Corsia is making a clutch play to be able to hold on to point, they get a little bit of ground. But when Froyotech makes a clutch play, they take a whole lot. Like, it's not just a minor victory where you held where you didn't suspect you would. It's going point to point, like we just saw, going straight from second to second with one, just a single victorious fight compared to Corsia, where, they maybe get one, or at least maybe a little bit of ground, or able to do a push where they, originally might not have been able to. So far, it just seems like it's a little bit on Corsia to try to, stifle those really great pushes and plays coming out of Froyotech to kind of minimize their losses and try to keep doing what they're doing in terms of being stable. But even then, they probably have to do more than that now that even say that, because you can't just have an even game right now. If you go to 2-2 for the next round, it's still a lost match. First one to go is 5 wins, so you definitely have to completely flip the script and start rolling the other team. So it's going to take a lot of adjustments out of Corsia to try to change up their play and start winning the second half. But it appears we are going live, so we'll have to see what the teams try to apply. At least for the mid fights, they've been so far pretty Froyotech dominant, spare some moments where they, overextend or do something a little bit curious. But at the end of the day, they're definitely taking a lot of high ground at the beginning of the mid and doing a lot of early spam, so we'll have to see if that repeats for this time.
Soldier from Corsia not having a great start. Trip opening up with a big bomb in, and they focus fire down Habib. And he ends up getting out, gets his health pack stolen, but a bow will come. And now Froyo has to decide, are they going to commit immediately? There goes Blaze. Jay on the little vent, trying to get onto Zilly, gets a little bit of damage, but Zilly slips just out of there. Skis and Eric going to cut their losses, just get out together. And Eric looks like he was going to go forward for a second, but Skis not quite out yet, but it looks like it's going to be over now. Trip a little bit weak, but like I was saying, I think both soldiers, the end of that half, had a very, very rough start, and Trip decides, I'm taking this game into my own hands. Bombs instantly, isolates Habib, who just gets focus fired by the rest of his team.
And that adjustment proved to be very well for them, as, they're sitting pretty on 2. They got to make sure they're be careful about these people that are pressuring the doors somewhat. Froyotech definitely does not want to give this up for free because they recognize the mid cap is going so slow. Jay trying to work his way in and try to buy some space for his team, getting some good damage, and I think Corsia have kind of realized it. Second isn't necessarily theirs. They don't want to use their Uber for it. They do lose Trip, though, which is a player down, so they have to be careful about the Froyotech push that's going to be incoming from lower, trying to work their way through and see if they can get any space to maybe get an Uber exchange off or some form of force. They don't have to worry about Trip bombing in because he's dead, so they have all the room in the world in terms of getting on the flank. And speaking of getting on the flank, we have Eric trying to poke in a little bit of the doors and buying some space for his team, but immediately Froyotech flank eats too much damage and not able to commit to anything. Seems like that's what they're going for, not an exchange, but rather a force play, and that did not end up being successful. So it turns out Ash's death in the very beginning wasn't too monumental anyway, and now Corsia in a pretty decent position to be able to, get their players up and try to break this stalemate on two.
Ash, I don't know what Ash is. Oh, he's going back to off class. I was wondering why he's on the other side of the map with 60 HP, but he's running all the way back to switch to Spy. And this is something so creative that you have to love. No one died, and this is one of the things you really don't see often. So maybe it'll be in the back of someone's head, but it's really rough, especially with how fast-paced Corsia's been playing, where they don't really rely on these off classes to break the stalemates. And Yite might actually, I thought he might have screwed him there because they were walking inside of each other's model. But you're probably going to see a trip bomb, maybe a fake, but Ash is behind in the shutter. Eric is paranoid right now, looking for the spy, which I'm surprised that they're even looking, but that is Froyo for you. They're trying to clear the sticks. Trip's going to probably try and two-man. Yite getting picked. Trip faking, and the spy comes in and stabs Skis down, and they were paranoid, but not enough. Good job, actually. I'm not sure why Zilly pops. He's full HP in Valley, but they end up popping, which may not make this that great, but a great rocket from Trip, getting the 2 picks down, and a big turnaround there.
Yep, seems like the paranoia wasn't enough at the end of the day. They were able to get a successful force. Froyotech was. J-bombed the Valley at the same time the stab was happening, able to force Zilly, so there's no Uber to work with here, just Bandy trying to buy some time to delay the cap of the second point, which, can get his players up and get a last, hold going at the very least, so they can, have a proper disad hold. But not able to block this without Habib up and a whole lot of the players alive, so overall pretty decent play coming out of Corsia, especially coming from Ash. Huge pick, and now, the ad isn't huge, but it's workable. If they try to spot the best they can try to work with it if they so desire. We have a gun going up by Banny over by the spawn this time. Once again, they're still keeping the pyro train running, just changing up the gun position. I mean, he might move it at the end of the day, and it seems like he is going to go back to under the bridge, probably. It found success last time. Seems going to be something similar, but the Uber is going to come out and finally have it. Going to the same door the pyro's at. Going to be very unfortunate for them. Going to be able to kill Jay, which is nice, and the gun, and they've actually bought the space. They needed 2 kills for an Uber and a gun. It's not too bad as they work their way in and trying to pinch the Froyotech combo at their spawn. Ash trying to buy some space for his team to be able to get on point, and they're actually able to get the demo, which is very nice to be able to stand straight on the point and be able to get their first round of the match.
Trip just putting on an absolute clinic, bombs in, gets the med and demo, but yeah, that last hold, usually you want the gun somewhere where it's shooting the team, trying to kill your pyro, where you just get juggled around and it's really weird. But with this next mid starting up here, I probably won't see the same rollout from Trip, but yeah, they're gonna opt for a slower start. Trip actually bombing straight across, Habib out of the mid, but Ash getting dealt with instantly, and that's a really bad start. And of course, it looks like they're gonna cut their losses. Alex just getting caught, and it's not looking great for the second hold here.
Yeah, and with no demo, that's going to have Froyotech continue to push forward, and I think Corsia kind of realized that demo death means they can't actually hold too, so they're pretty much conceding and going straight back to last, which is a pretty smart play. If you try to block that, it's going to be a little bit rough. Trip trying to go for a solo play that he sees opportunity, able to clean up Jay without dying, so good job on him. Probably wasn't expecting that on the side of Froyotech, and it's going to, slow things down a little bit. It's going to be more difficult for them to sack before Corsia is able to set up a gun or have their sniper peek or anything. So Ash trying to work his way over on the right side, see if he can get any pressure, but he has his team with him, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to find anything. Able to get a headshot and a kill on the Bandy, which is going to be nice for them. Going to lose Brain Slam and return to a trap, which is unfortunate for their ability to do any sort of counter sack. So it appears things are going to even out a little bit. Zilly very aggressive. Got to be careful about Blaze peeking through the shutter, but Blaze isn't being healed, so he's going to go ahead and back up, and they're going to be okay at the end of the day. So a little bit scrappy. Jay's going to die at a random pipe coming from RGLgg, and that's going to pressure Yite to go in and get another pick on a Blaze. So a little bit rough in terms of Froyotech being able to detransition out of the lobby hold, and it's going to be leaving a fragment of their team alive, 3 of them on the point as a bomb comes in, able to successfully get the force. Ash is going to be the sacrifice as they continue to Uber in, and it seems like Froyotech wants to go straight to last. A little bit of a daunting play as Alex is the last one there, but it doesn't seem like anyone on course is able to get there in time. Body blocked or what, I wasn't seeing because I was watching on the fight, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a successful play that I don't think Corsia necessarily expected to happen when they only have 3 people alive.
Nah, it's one of those situations where you get a little bit too aggro and they kind of flip the script. So they're closer to your last than you are, and they say, all right, we're going to stall for you, and Banny, go cap. And he did just that. And now they're going to be at a game point, 4-1 for Froyo. Alex putting stickies on all the doors, trying to lock out, and it looks like Froyo is actually not in mid for a couple seconds, and Alex gets absolutely destroyed by Jay trying to get in the door. A lot of damage coming up onto Habib, and Both scouts on the shed getting spammed down by these soldiers, and Banny ends up getting picked, and Yite wants more. He's trying to chase Eric down, who ends up getting the pack. But that was a very, very good start to a mid from Alex there.
Yeah, a lot of hesitation coming out of Froyotech and that damage, and continuing to hesitate as they are down people now. They're able to kill one, which is nice for them. They're starting to stay in a little bit. Eric getting chased down by Brand Slam is going to be able to retreat with his life, but Trip going in a little bit too deep, going to die. Not going to be very fortunate for the side of Corsia. They have an Uber to work with, but down 2. Ash is able to clean up one, which is nice for them over on the flank. He's going to get bombed by Jay as the Uber exchange is going to come out. A lot of people in this Uber on the side of Corsia, and it's going to be difficult for them to flash all of them. One going down, maybe 2, depending if Brand Slam is able to successfully survive. Oh, he is able to get the pack, and it seems like this collapse is going to be really nice for Corsia. You know, they lose their medic and demo, but at the same time, they have so many people left alive that it could be very advantageous for them to continue to block down the second point. So they'd have to be careful about trying to execute this. They have to play this fast. They have to be careful about the reinforcements coming in from Froyotech. They're able to get this cap, but very, very weak. Ash 8 HP, Yite 7 HP. They know they have to leave, and I think Banny's kind of recognized the amount of damage he'd done. He kind of knows that Corsia is backed up for now, so despite the point being taken, they're able to get a little bit of space, but Corsia definitely want to run back through Valley here and try to do the best they can to pressure it. Ash bombing in to try to get some pressure, but Bransom's going to die to a trap. At the same time, people dying underneath the bridge over on the flank side, able to clean up Banny, but that is not enough to win this fight, and I think Corsia kind of realized that this is the end for them in terms of their second push. Alex is going to eventually fall. Trip trying to save him, but not going to be too successful, and I think him trying to save his demo man is going to get himself killed as well, so Wizzly, the last person alive. Not only is it going to be a failed refight on second, but a mid-conversion, and Froyotech have an Uber ad to work with into 2 as well.
Yeah, and Trip doing a good job of actually stalling for his medic, so now they're going to be able to at least have players up on second. They're not going to quite have Uber. Ash on that sniper again. Looks like Froyo is going for that house door. Banny's not quite there, so got to wait a little bit, and by then, I think they should know Ubers will be even, but now with a sniper on the... Actually, Froyo pushing through this house door. They're trying to milk through a lot of damage onto Banny. Ends up getting picked, and the Uber from Corsia is not even getting forced here, and it does end up by Jay. But they trade for 3 for it, and now Froyo's just got to run away, given there are no soldiers for Corsia. Ash is on sniper. Froyo's going to try and hold mid here.
Yep, trying to do the best they can to spam down Valley Branson, trying to make some space by getting on the point. I think they're just trying to bank on Habib getting a nice trap kill, but it's not going to be successful. Taking that Uber, not the best decision, at least in terms of how fast it was. Wasted enough time to be able to, of course, is able to get their Uber, so definitely allows a good chance for them to, you know, be in the situation where they are now, where they retake mid, and, you know, in an okay position here. They have a sniper up, and it's off Uber. Gotta, you know, get your sniper some angles and get the rest of your Uber to maybe get some ballsy peeks coming through lower or something, which he is in right now, trying to see if he can get his eyes on Eric or anyone that decides to peek down. And I think Froyotech kind of realized that the sniper has never died. He is still very much a threat, and it's gonna be, you know, finding the line in which you cannot cross. You know, how deep can Ash get without dying, and where's the line in terms of Froyotech just straight up running at Corsia to try to get the sniper pick. So a little bit of aggression coming out of Ash, not too much though. Able to successfully live. Only one person trying to pressure him is not going to be enough to kill him, so he's going to go ahead and take this other angle into house. Not a whole lot of people peeking. Habib almost peeked it for a second there. Missed shot. Seems like Ash is going to go a little bit too deep. Oh, Jay going to die to some stickies. I'm not sure if that was him walking on them or him getting blown into them, but either way, a death is a death, which is not very fortunate for the side of Froyotech. Bomb coming in from Trip, and Ash trying to work his way in to get extra spam as well is not going to be very advantageous for them, as the soldier initiation coming in straight from Froyotech to retake this mid, Marmaloo.
Yeah, and they end up popping first Alex. They're trying to milk onto him. Alex takes a bit of damage. The Uber's a lot better from Corsia here. Scout getting a little bit ahead of himself. Banning in. They're getting shot from the side. They all have to turn around for the Scout, and that's going to open up the entire map for the rest of Froyo. Given they got a couple weak players. The big ball from Trip gets onto Habib. A lot of damage. Gets Banny down. Jay super weak, and now all that's left right now is Blaze and Skis with Eric behind. He's not going to be in time to help his medic, but he may be in time for the cleanup afterwards.
Skis is going to follow Eric inside house, trying to find the perfect time to go in. Able to collect one, not able to collect the others though. Pretty nice play coming from Corsia. Despite losing their demo, they recognize the chaos and able to clean up people on the back lines while Froyotech bursts through the doors and tries to work their way in the mid. It's not going to work out really well on the side of Froyo, so Zillion, 25-30 ad, and it's kind of rough to work with, but it's doable. Jay trying to buy some time for his team is actually able to apply a lot of damage on Alex, so with no demo, it appears that they're not able to really work their way back into 2 after they've capped it. So nice play coming out of Jay, and unfortunate on the side of Corsia. that your demo has died, but you still have an ad to work with to try to retake second for another time. Just gotta wait for him to respawn up and get ready to go. 80% sitting on their own side of mid, trying to get the last bit of it. And actually appears like they're not really getting close to a door like they want to use it. I don't think they recognize that their Uber is as big as it is, or maybe they are and they're just thinking they have time to buy, but it appears like they're working the way towards house to go straight through. Immediately pop in, and Yite is going to die over on the flank. Beeb going behind with Blaze and Eric. A lot of Froyotech players behind. Almost able to clean up Trip, and not quite yet. Able to lose their demo, which is not great on the side of Froyo. RGLgg, though, is going to die himself, probably. Oh, no. Okay. Brand Slam trying to take the rocket for him. Able to take the first one, but still dies nonetheless. So a little weird coming out on the side of Froyotech, but at the very least, it's working out. Zilly not able to hit the surf he needs to hit. It is going to lead to his death, so it's nice pick from Blade. Trip, huge rockets coming out onto Banny. Going to be able to take him down while he dies himself, and just Ash and Yite are left on the field in terms of being on mid. Taking a lot of damage. It's going to be a bit of a distraction for Yite to go in. Not able to find anything, though. So 2 dead coming out of the side of Corsia. Well, Froyotech takes this mid. They have this pick to work off of. Going to be a little bit rough in terms of using the players, but they do have this giant Uber ad that they can take instead.
And with no scout being alive, Zilly was super caught. And now, looks like Froyo's going to go for that house bomb again. It gets absolutely thwarted by Ash. They get the force out, so much damage, and they're still stuck in this door. And if they can start locking it out, now the Uber lasted just long enough, and Trip is behind, and they should know about it, and this may be a really bad situation, especially, yeah, they're turning around for Trip. Now there's 2 soldiers down for Corsia. It's a very good opportunity to at least take ground on the other team's last, trying to get a force, because Corsia's got Uber out here.
Yep, definitely want your soldiers alive to be able to lock down these doors with your demo, and with 1 dead, it's going to be a good opportunity for Froyo to try to peek forward if they so desire, but I think they've kind of recognized that they're a little bit afraid of Corsia's aggression. There's been multiple moments where Corsia's been so aggressive, so lobby is a little bit scary. They want to just play it safe. They're a couple rounds ahead. Makes sense, but Corsia bombing through, actually Alex is going to miss his jump a little bit, which is unfortunate for their Uber, but not able to quite find anything. It seems like Froyotech was very, very far back, and just jumping the gun and going straight with the Uber was not the play that is going to lead them the kills they need. They get the point at the very least, but Froyotech has the Uber to go ahead and retaliate and go back through house. It appears they're buffing up and getting ready to go through, but it seems like it's spotted, so at least know what's happening, so maybe Corsia can do the same thing, but they get ready to back up and try to not leave any dead. Froyotech bombing in, trying to lead on a scout and soldier to try to chase Trip down. The flank on Corsia trying to go for a play, not going to be too successful. Blaze is going to fall though, so it's not going to be too crazy. Jay kind of overstaying his welcome a little bit, and lobby is going to cleaned up, and not a whole lot of deaths on the side of Corsia and when it comes to the combo. So they're looking to continue to spam this and apply pressure. Gonna be able to get this cap Froyotech is, but not without Banny dying. With that, it's gonna be enough for Branson to try to work in. Eric trying to work his way over to the flank, but Trip's gonna win that 1v1. And with 3 dead on Froyotech, this is going to be a very nice re-push coming out of Corsia. They get this cap, they have a nice 50% add to work with, and there are no scouts on the side of Froyotech to give Skis the scout speed he needs. So if this was going to be a successful push, this would be the time to do it. Blaze trying
to get the house. Blaze gets picked off. Jay, very, very weak, ends up killing himself with a unexpected burst of damage on himself. And now, 25% Uber from Corsia. It's going to be fading anytime now, but they look like they want to keep going. Little do they know, Skis is just going to get out, but Habib is caught here. Sticky's still on the floor. Eric trying to clear him, and they get Uber just in time. And Zilly may have overstayed his welcome, but pipes coming out from Habib, insta-killing Zilly. And now they just have to try and play around their meta. A lot of damage from Ash. Yite cleans it up. And now Alex is above them on the top of the bridge with Trip. They get Jay down. It's 2 up on the floor versus 3. Habib gets picked off, and now it's just these 2 versus Blaze, who's not the healthiest in the world, but neither are the rest of Corsia here. And Blaze is gonna go back to last.
Overall successful fight, but I would not be too surprised if we see Froyotech try to apply pressure onto 2. I think they've realized, I think everyone in the server has realized that there's no way that Corsia actually is able to take 2 right now, at least very, very dominantly, unless a trap kill almost. Banny getting dropped to single-digit HP, but not quite a kill. It's going to allow Froyotech to make sure they have the players alive to stuff this, so yeah, but, unfortunate the debt wasn't in time, but...
Zilly has crits, and they're going to have probably 30-40% ad by the time they do get this, and I don't think Froyo's going to be expecting it. It hasn't been pulled out a single time. I don't even know if I can remember if they pulled out in the last match. They may get spotted on this cross, but they get across just in time. And now this is all on the Alex Hero Sticky. They're walking out. Skis is out wide. The Sticky comes out, gets him down, and now Froyo is stuck into salvage mode. Scouts behind. Pre-fire Sticky onto Eric, and Alex is absolutely dominating so far this game, and he gets taken out by a V.
Caster's Curse. Trap takes him down, but he's done his job. He's collected the medic kills and made sure they have this crits ad to work in if this round lasts long enough. It appears like they're trying to push forward. I think they've realized it's going to be a tricky situation if they try to just sit and play if the crits out. They're trying to bomb through and work their way in. Scouts funneling forward, and it appears that Skis is going to die to Ash, which is very nice for them to maintain their ad and make it a little bit bigger. They have some heal ad to work with to try to poke ground still, but with no soldiers left alive, it's probably a little bit too tall of an order for them. So they have this crits ad to work with, and they have it now. Yite trying to work his way in to apply extra pressure, and it's going to be a scout crit this time coming out of Brand Sam. Blaze is going to die. Bandy's going to die. A lot of early damage coming onto these players very early on in the crits, and those flies are going to drop, and Froyotech is going to fall, and that is going to be Corsia's second round of the match.
He just one-shot all of those guys, and now I don't know if I want to stay on crits because that was an awkward time for crits, but that dry push by the soldiers on that last getting Skis down was massive. And then Yite opening it up, but now, once again, mid, very big. Alex is going to drop to the floor, trade some damage with Habib. No one really going super aggro yet. Ash on the top right, trying to get some pressure out. Trip jumping in onto Skis. So much damage, gets the pick. Lives for a little bit longer. Now, Corsia's got the high ground, but now, can they handle all 5 of these players trying to get onto them? Yite a little bit weak. Soldier across the point. Looks like Corsia's going to do a good job getting out of mid right now. Going to refight a bit later, but so much pipe damage from Habib, getting everyone weak on Corsia.
Yep, gotta make sure Habib's put in check. He doesn't have a beam on him, so it shouldn't take too much as long as you're buffed up, and it appears like they're okay with, giving the mid to Froyotech as long as it means that they're able to stay healthy, but it doesn't really appear they're able to stay too healthy themselves. A lot of projectile players getting very weak, but they are able to clean up Jay without losing any of their own, which is good for them, and it appears like enough damage has done for them to funnel their way through. Blaze is gonna die. Brand Sam gonna fall, get dropped to 1, and then immediately die. The trap's still on the point. It's gonna get Ash, which is very unfortunate for them being able to stay here, but Habib committing outside the door is gonna fall himself, which is not very good if you want to have this mid retaken for your team. Uber's still in play coming from Zilly. Trip is going to die in the back lines, which is unfortunate for their flank, but Uber still can come out to try to salvage this in it. Will Jay trying to bomb in and not able to successfully find that kill, immediately jumps out straight in another pass back to his team, and people are still lingering around. Eric behind, Bandy still at mid. This is very much still something that Froyotech can fight, and they will. Eric flanking behind into house, trying to create a distraction for his soldiers. Eric is going to die, but is going to lead a rocket from Blaze onto Zilly, which is very nice for their ability to win this post fight. It's got to keep Skis healthy and alive as the Corsia players trying to funnel the way through into the valley. Skis not able to hit his rocket, and everyone stacked on top of each other's models, able to get the medic and the demo on the side of Froyotech. Big plays coming in, not quite enough to be able to retake this mid, but enough to salvage it and make the second hold a little bit more feasible.
Just great plays. Trip even hitting the air shot on Jay, but that doesn't mean anything there. But yeah, once again, Froyo on top of these super scrappy fights where everyone goes back and forth, but now no heals here. Of course, he's just trying to get through this door as soon as possible. Get a lot of pressure. Oh no, Trip
no, he
jumps
just ran past Trip. He was in the hiding spot over in the left lobby and just ran past Trip. I'm pretty sure the frame that Trip moved his mouse to rocket jump and looked at the ground was when Eric ran straight past him. Literally frame perfect. Trip had no clue.
Did he actually walk past him?
Yes, they was literally through the same doorway right as Trip was trying to jump. That is very perfect timing coming out of Eric, and going to be the last round to let Froyotech secure this match. They've secured their head-to-head and putting a lot of rounds on the board to try to make sure they maintain their point lead over Corsia.
Yeah, just Froyo definitely they did not give Corsia any room to work, but great plays by some individuals there. Got him back in that second half, but it's not enough. The back cap from Eric. You usually see one at least every game. It's pretty consistent in that way, but great win from Froyo, and I think that's definitely a good statement coming into the playoffs. They're showing, hey, that was a fluke. We're still on top, and if you're Corsia, when the playoffs come, you definitely want to prove them wrong there.
Yeah, when you play match after match after match versus the same team, it definitely is a test of who is able to adapt more. You learn more about your opponents and the styles they like to play and what their go-tos are. So it's definitely proven that, despite a very even showing previously, at least when it comes to Metalworks, Froyotech has Corsia a little bit in terms of playing very dominantly. So, I mean, there was a good showing in the second half, definitely turned around, but it's like I said before, you got a 3-0 deficit to work with from the first half. You can't settle for an even game here coming into the second. You have to roll, and Corsia was not able to pull it out today, but it was kind of a tall task to say for the, have that happen for the second half. We have some logs up on the screen right now. I have to, my side monitor is way too blurry to be able to read them. So what do you see Marmalou in terms of a good performance coming out of the stats?
Yite dropped 40 and 27. Brandslam also having a good game. All the scouts having a good game. Banny and Eric having almost identical stats besides the damage. But yeah, the demo, everyone having a pretty good game. And I think the real story is like, if you look at these stats, you definitely think the game would be a lot closer than it was. I think the med deaths are very close. 7 kill difference. The damage difference is within 200. And the main story of the game was just, even though these scrappy fights went back and forth, every time just the little bit of favor that comes out of that went towards Froyo. So even though they trade frags, they trade damage, they trade meds, Froyo usually is on top at the end of these fights.
Yep, and it definitely showed. Like I said before in the halftime, when it came to the scrappy fights, even though it was kind of evenish, it seems like Froyotech's victories in those scrappy fights were much more dominant, allowed them to take multiple points and maybe even round conversions, depending if it was last year going on to compared to Corsia, where their victories were much more on a smaller scale and they able to only take like a little bit of ground or maybe like a fight or an opportunity of a fight in the future. So overall, good plays from both teams in the second half, but the initial dominance from Froyotech in the first half definitely sealed the deal.
Yeah, and just when we were talking those mids, pretty close actually. 4-3 in favor of Froyo. And we said that Trip and Alex needed to play well for them to win, and they played very, very well. Alex played well throughout the game. Trip had a very, very good second half, and just that deficit at the start, it's very, very hard to come back from if you're not just playing like a straight up better team, because you're already starting where you only can allow two rounds, and they end up tying it 2-2 in that second half. But it's Froyo just really steamrolling in the start, and I'm just excited for the playoffs. And let me double check. I'm not sure if that's these guys' season's done.
I think there's some other matches. I mean, the head-to-head is
No, for
definitely
these
sealed.
guys, I'm not sure if they are.
Oh, these guys? Oh, okay. Yeah, you can go ahead and check it out. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a sneak peek into what playoffs could be. These guys are for sure going to be in at the very least. They have enough wins. Their seed is yet to be determined, but I wouldn't be too surprised if we see them go ahead and duke out once again, coming into playoffs, which is not going to be too much further away. So only time will tell. But we do have Banny in for an interview post game. Congratulations, Banny. Welcome.
Hey, thanks. Nice to be here.
Let's go ahead and talk a little about Metalworks landing on this map, about the pick ban. So what were your guys' thought process coming into this pick ban phase, especially coming from last week where it kind of showed that you're a little bit even on some of the maps that were played?
Well, I think we mainly just wanted variety in terms of matches. We wanted to see how we matched up against them on other maps. So Metalworks is a map we haven't played much this season. We happened to have another match against Global Clan on it, so we figured we might as well just make this like Metalworks week so we could just focus our practice on that one map. I think last week we never practiced Villa, and I think that was a mistake. So this time we made sure that we picked a map that we were going to be able to practice more than once.
And going into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure it's almost impossible. I think it is impossible for you not to get the first seed. And looking at these other teams going into playoffs, you excited to see how they at least stack up against each other and hopefully stack up against you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the playoffs will be great. All the teams are pretty solid. Unfortunately, the playoff race I don't think is super exciting.
It's still possible for the 4th seed to fall out, but it's pretty unlikely right now, at least.
Yeah, that's just a consequence, I think, of the division being a bit smaller. Hopefully next season we have a bigger division, so there's more, calculations and different 4,000 possibilities or whatever to calculate, and it's more interesting. But this time, regardless, I think all the teams are going to be pretty good. Interested to see how Morning Light does with their new roster. But I'm expecting Corsia to kind of be the team to beat for most people.
So thinking of this match, you guys definitely the second half was a little closer, but at the very beginning, you guys definitely showed your dominance and took it straight 3-0. Did you guys go into? I mean, you said this was going to be Metalworks week. Did you guys have any very particular plans in terms of adjusting overall play to show your dominance so early on in the match?
Well, we certainly learned a lot from the last 2 games we played against them last week, and we have played against a lot of these people on Metalworks in the past, so we knew a lot of what to expect. What ended up costing us those rounds both times were things that, like, we called, "Alright, let's anticipate this," and then we still got caught by it, so it was kind of a throw on our part. Um, so, I don't know, overall, we were focusing a lot more on just playing, as much as we could with, like, a tighter combo, although there were many moments where it devolved into chaos still, so we'll keep working on that into playoffs. But, that was a big thing. I think dealing with their soldiers was one of the biggest things that we had to change, compared to last week. Uh, Trip and Ash were, I would say, their most impactful players, especially on mids, last week. So this time around, we tried to make sure to shut them down.
Yeah, that first half, you guys did a great job of shutting them down. And overall, like you said, scrappy game. And is there do you like playing that way, or would you like to be a bit more keep your med alive, stand around them, make sure you clean up all the other guys, but back and forth med picks, anything you'd want to change in that field?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I would prefer it to be a lot more calm and controlled, but they weren't giving us that opportunity. They've got players that are just gonna commit no matter what. Trip and Ash and Yite, like those guys. Um, they have very little respect for being down numbers or being down their medic or whatever. So they'll just commit no matter what. And against other teams, they might choose otherwise. They might respect a bit more. So that is one thing that stands out about that team.
Well, if you don't got anything else to ask, Jarrett, do you? Or
I think I'm good. I think it's down
Alright.
to the shout out phase. Ben, you have any shout outs after this match?
Um, well, GG to Corsia, and shout out to you guys for casting and streaming over at RGL. Big things ahead. I'm looking forward to the future of RGL and everything. That's about it. And yeah, GG to my team as well.
All right, yeah. Congrats to your first seed, and good luck in the playoffs.
Thanks.
All right, well, that's probably going to be it from us for the most part. Marmel, do you have any last minute shout outs?
No. I think shout out to Trip, number one. But I think that's all for me.
For me, it's shout out to Dolphin as always. But that's pretty much going to be it from us. Thank you for watching this cast, and we'll see you guys. I think we have some casts later on, like Wednesday or Thursday. I have to keep up on the TFTV sidebar to make sure that it's okay, it's going to be Thursday is the next time that you will see a cast from us. So make sure you're able to stay tuned and watch out for that one. But from us, that'll be all for now. So thank you guys, and we'll see you guys next time.